All right, everybody, we made it. We made it to the end of the semester. Congratulations. Thank you, Dr. Rodick, for all that you've imparted on us with your modules this semester. I want to absolutely make sure that you get your flowers. And I want to shout out all of the students in this course, in this online course. I know how challenging that can be. And yet that's why we need to do the work that we need to do to make sure that we are learning how to build community even virtually, right? And so new media and new literacies, final presentation by Mr. Lajas. You can refer to me as Lajas or Mr. Lajas. My name is Moikazi J. Lajas, and I am with Remixed Edutainment. That's me. That's my brand. You see the shirt. We're here. Let's do this. We're going to remix the way that we do social studies instruction. I started my timer so that I can practice economy of language because I am long-winded, y'all, and I will talk to y'all about this all day because I'm passionate about this. So passionate am I about social studies instruction that I need your help in terms of making sure that we remix the way that we teach social studies. I have read articles about how social studies has been devalued and deprioritized in many states, in many districts. And so I'm excited because I think that new media, new literacies, specifically constructive media decoding and media literacy objectives, combined with youth participatory action research, is the way to move forward with social studies. So we are going to launch a resurgence for social studies instruction using new media, new literacies. All right. This is what we're going to do to drive student-centered social studies instruction. And how we're going to do this, let's get into it. So first and foremost, this is all about bringing youth participatory action research combined with new media, new literacy, and media learning objectives in order to reteach social studies or redesign the way that social studies is taught, if you will. Okay, here are some of the texts and some of the videos and some of the work that's going to be referenced throughout this presentation, and you'll find this in my references page as well. All right, let's keep it moving. So this book, Teaching Students to Decode the World, introduces us to constructivist media decoding. It also provides us with a framework using media literacy objectives. So, for example, let's think about state standards that most state assessments are going to be aligned to, right? We have our TEKS here in Texas, Texas Essential Knowledge Standards. In New York, you have your ELA standards, your math standards, whatever standards that are really going to be used to facilitate the assessment on standardized exams, right? What we need to think about, though, is what are the media literacy objectives that we're going to be incorporating, that we're going to be adding, implementing, and aligning to our lessons to make sure that our students are continuing to gain proficiency in digital literacy and in media, new media literacy, right? So CMD, constructivist media decoding, allows the students to gain knowledge by actually being the ones to live that experience in your classroom, right? Engaging, interacting with media decoding, with media and different multimodal methods of instruction. Okay. We're going to take CMD and we're going to start to include media literacy objectives. And then we're going to make sure that we are centering our students using culturally and historically responsive education as taught to us by Dr. Goldie Muhammad in her book, Unearthing Joy. Okay. We want to see every student. We want to celebrate every student. Think about using universal design, right? And making sure that we are always accommodating and scaffolding, right? And adapting our lessons to meet the needs of our students. Well, we can use new media and new literacies to make sure that we are culturally and historically responsive, right? We want to practice Ujima, okay? Collective work and responsibility, building our community together, solving our problems together. She, Dr. Muhammad, teaches us about the five pursuits: identity, skills, strategies, knowledge, and criticality. And that's what we want to think about when we are being intentional in our delivery of instruction. So we're going to take culturally and historically responsive education. We're going to take CMD and we're going to include media literacy objectives. And then what we're going to do is we're going to roll out YPAR, Youth Participatory Action Research. projects. We're going to revolutionize inquiry in urban classrooms. Now, that's just the title of the article that actually came from volume one. And I want you to know that I went ahead and got my volume two, okay, in here because I really enjoyed reading these articles, okay? So, like a teacher, we're going to go backwards, right? Using backwards design. We're actually going to go backwards in YPAR and start with research. Okay. Let the students see themselves as knowledge producers with valuable ideas to share. Let them be active. Okay. So that they can transform themselves and their community. We're going to participate in collaborative work together. Okay. We're going to embolden our students to do work outside of the schools and to look outside in order to really figure out how to move forward within our schools and our classrooms. Okay. And then we want them to understand that these young students, our scholars, are not just adults in training, but they are curious and critically thinking civic agents that are going to do this work on their own terms. Everything must be about the students and must center our students. That's what YPAR is. Students are going to look at a problem that they identify as something that they're going to be passionate about in their community. Okay. We're going to research that problem, but we're going to use new media, new literacy, CMD, media literacy objectives to conduct the research, though, right? This is where we bring it all together. Okay. Then we're going to take the data and we're going to create presentations. Also, decoding media messaging because their presentations are going to deliver or create a narrative or create a message that's going to help us present to our classmates, our school, our leaders, etc. Okay. So after we identify a problem and we do our research, we're going to collect this data, analyze the data, and we're going to create a presentation that's going to demand some change. Just like students did in Holyoke, Massachusetts, part of the Palante organization, where they took a problem and they created transformative and restorative justice practices in their schools. That's the kind of work that we're going to be doing in the social studies classes to recenter our students. Okay. So the word of the day for today is research. In We're going to redefine research as it relates to the way that we're going to conduct it in our classrooms. Investigation in order to discover facts while building communal power in order to fuel our collective demands for change. The students will be the ones to do this work, okay? As Professor Jamila Michener said of Cornell University, nothing about us without us is for us. And what that means is that nothing about our students without our students can be for our students. So in order to really, really, really drive social studies instruction forward, we're going to recenter our students, but we're going to use new media and new literacies. Here's just an example of what a lesson sequence could look like when we take YPAR and we also use CMD as our objectives, right? So we begin with our objectives and then we go through our lesson the way that we typically would, but we're going to make sure that there are components built into our lesson that are grounded in the YPAR, of course, in reverse though. Research, action, participation, and the Y representing the youth, also the Y representing the why, meaning why we're doing this. What is the reason for doing this? Okay. Here are the references again. Um, I'll leave this up for just another second as I close this out. But again, I want to remind you that the purpose of this was to look at how is social studies instruction being delivered? Why has it been devalued or deprioritized? And instead of focusing on that, let's focus on how we can bring value back to it. And by bringing value back to it, we value our students, we center our students, and we think of new and innovative ways to use new media and new literacies in order to drive that forward, if that makes any sense. So I'll go backwards again because we always begin with the end in mind. We're going to make sure that we ground everything we do with YPAR, with centering our students, and with incorporating media literacy objectives and constructivist media decoding. And that's how we are going to use YPAR, new media, new literacies to drive social studies instruction forward. Again, my name is Mr. Lajas. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. We did it. We made it. And thank you, Professor Dr. R. I appreciate you. Looking forward to your feedback. Take care, everybody.